Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So you may have seen in past videos that I've already spoken about how you can build your customer persona. And if you haven't watched that video, I'll put a little thing up in the corner over here. I've also done some work around how you can build your UVP or your unique value proposition. And if you haven't watched that video, then I will also pop a link up just over here somewhere. I wanted to go through the kind of final piece of the puzzle with this really, because when we first start working with clients, there's three elements that we always cover as part of our strategy, and that is customer persona, your UVP, and the final thing is your competitor analysis and your white space. And I haven't gone into that yet with my videos, so I really wanted to do a video on how we go about doing that. And this is really quite important because in my next video, which you'll have to wait until next week to see, I'm going to go into actually how we use these three elements, these three planning elements, to start structuring our content pillars. Now, again, I did a video all about content pillars and how you can use content pillars to structure your social media. And again, I'll pop a link up over here somewhere. In order to really start to play to your strengths with these content pillars, there's these other elements that you've got to weave into them. And this is your customer persona, your UVP, and your competitor analysis and white space. So what I'm going to go into next week is how we use this information to structure your content pillars. But for the minute, I want you to sit down and do this little bit of work on your competitor analysis. I hope you find it interesting. Let me know if you've got any questions. So I'm Sarah, I'm founder of the Fastnet agency. We are a specialist agency specialising in ambitious, innovative e-commerce brands in the sort of lifestyle, fashion and skincare sectors. I offer advice every week on how to grow your brand. So if you find this interesting, then please do click that subscribe link and hit the bell as well. You'll be notified every Thursday when I post a new video. Okay, so let's start with competitor analysis. Now, I probably don't really need to explain to you what a competitive analysis is. It's looking at your competition and it's working out what they're doing and how. There's various different ways you can do competitive analysis. It could be related to their financials, it could be related to locations, it could be related to all sorts of things, but specifically for this exercise, we are focusing it on their digital marketing efforts. So you will see just down in the description that I've posted a link to a Google Sheet spreadsheet. You know me, I love a Google Sheet. They're brilliant ways of structuring content and information. So I would suggest you download that and you work through that with me during this video because it will really help you to structure this information in a way that will make it easy to refer back to, also easy to pick out those nuggets of information that are going to be really useful for your digital marketing campaign. So hopefully you've now downloaded your spreadsheet and I'm just going to go through this with you. So the first thing is along this top row, the first space available is coloured green, and that is where I want you to put you, okay? So you are that first column. Then it means that we've got a reference point. We know where you are, and then we can refer along the rows and see where all your competitors are sitting. So start by filling in that in yourself. Now, and there might be some things that you think are pretty obvious, there's things like website URL, just pop it in there, because if you ever work for an agency, it's really useful to have all this information compiled in one place. There could be really useful information in here about the number of website visitors, but of course you can't really accurately tell that for your competition really. There are analysis tools out there, but they're not that accurate. So instead what we're looking at is the amount of information that they're popping out on a daily basis. And you might also want to consider in this as well things like keyword rankings. I haven't included it in this spreadsheet here. We normally do that as a separate task, and I will do a separate video on that. But of course, that's also something to bear in mind when it comes to the website element of your competitor analysis. So if we just go down that first column then, filling in your own details, I'm going to just go through the various different elements and explain them to you. So the first section is linked to your Facebook following. So we look at where the Facebook page link is. Obviously, you know where your own Facebook page is, but it's useful for your competitors so you can easily refer to them afterwards. Your Facebook engagement rate. Now there's a link there to a little system called Social Blade. In order to get all of the details, you have to sign up, but it's free. And I found this really useful. It gives an engagement rate for pages, and it looks at things like comments and shares and likes and all the rest of it, and gives you a number. So you can try and work this out yourself, but it's obviously a much quicker way of doing it. It will generate that for you. So sign up with Social Blade, and then you can start generating an engagement rate for each of your competitors. We then look at the kind of follower counts and how frequently they post as well. once a week, twice a week, once a day. You know, it doesn't have to be completely accurate, but just a rough idea of actually, are they sporadic? You know, rough idea of how much you're posting, and then we'll obviously do the same for your competition. And then this is a really interesting one to look at. Does this account use a variation of formats such as videos and stories? So if you find that they only ever post static images, or they only ever post, you know, kind of graphics, or they post a lot of videos, or they've got a variety, you know, obviously this is the place to fill it in. Next section is Instagram. So again, you can generate the engagement rate using Social Blade, follow account, post frequency, type of posting that they do. Go through and do that for yourself and be really honest. And then we're going to look at doing that for your competitors as well. TikTok. If you're not into TikTok yet, it's really useful to find out if that's somewhere where your competitors are hanging out. If you're not on that platform yet, you might want to consider it if your competitors aren't, because it could be a place where you could grow a real following quickly and get ahead of the game. Might be it's not relevant to your audience, that's down to you, but the section's in there just in case you want to go off and do that research. We've then got a section for Facebook advertising. I've included in here a really useful link which you can click straight from the spreadsheet, which will allow you to spy on your competitors' Facebook ads. This is completely legitimate. It's generated by Facebook itself, but not many people know about it. They don't tend to advertise it. So it's really useful. You just literally go on there, click the link, search for your competitor, and it will show you exactly what ads they're running. So you can go in there, check out their ads, and then you can post the link to that within the spreadsheet so you can easily refer back to it. And just underneath that, I want you to just do a quick description of the ads they're running. Might be they're not running any ads. Fine. It might be that they're running video ads or static ads. They've got loads of different ads running. They've only got one, you know, whatever. Just include a brief description so you've got a reference point afterwards. And then the final section is related to mailing lists. So you will know what email mail out campaigns you've got running, but I want you to go through and sign up to mailing lists and put a note as to what you receive. What first email do you receive? What second email do you receive? What third email do you receive? Might take you a couple of weeks to really kind of get this, depending on how frequently your competitors mail out, but it gives you a really good idea of how active they are with their mailing lists and how much they're using email marketing in their campaigns. So that's the final section right at the bottom there. So by now you should have gone through and you should have filled in anything that's relevant to yourself with your name in that green section at the top of the spreadsheet. So next to the green cell, there are 4 beigey coloured cells where you can list your direct competitors. So you put their names there in the top of that list. And I really want you to think about who your direct competitors are. These need to be really tangible people that are potentially going to be taking your customers away from you, you know? So really think carefully about who you think that is. It might be based on location, it might be based on the similarity to your product, anything like that. I want you to go into those columns. It might be you don't have 4, maybe you only have 1 or 2, that's fine. It might be you have more than 4, in which case you can add an extra column, but I want you to think about exactly who they are and pop those names in the top of the spreadsheet there. And then you're going to do exactly the same exercise as you've just done for yourself. You're going to go through and you're going to note down all their vital statistics. You're going to click on those links and generate engagement rates, generate that link for their Facebook advertising and see what they're doing. And you're going to pop all of that in that spreadsheet there. And the nice thing about this is because it's in columns, each competitor's in a column, and then we've got rows for each of their information. It means that you can go along those rows and you can see exactly where everybody is and where you sit. Are you ahead of them, behind them? Are they doing anything particularly amazingly well? Is there massive gaps where nobody's doing anything? Now the final couple of columns are in a kind of nice tealy blue colour, I would say. And this is where I want you to place 1 or 2 companies that aren't necessarily direct competition. I want these to be aspirational competitors, I'm going to call it. So these are the brands that you would love your brand to be like in like 10 years time or 5 years time or 3 years time. You know, these are the ones that you're not up against at the moment, but you would love to become like them in some way. And I want you to pop those in there, and I want you to do exactly the same with them. These are their vital statistics. So this is where you want to go to. This is your goals, okay? So go away and do that work. And then we're going to move on to the white space in a minute. So hopefully you've now gone away and filled in your competitor analysis. Well done if you have. Top marks for your homework. The next sheet on this little Google sheet is your white space. So this is where we now start to analyze all of that useful information. So you will see here that you've got a number of headings along the top, and I'm just going to talk you through those. So apologies if I look at my screen to do that. So the first one is all about you. I want you to describe your best 10 performing posts based on your engagement, okay? So go through all of your posts that you've put out over the last 12 months or so. work out the ones that have got the best engagement and note them down here. Now, if you haven't been very active on social media, it might be you want to take the top 3 rather than the top 10. Completely up to you, but I want you to have a little look and be really analytical about actually what has your audience engaged with, and I want you to pop a little note in there. The column next to this is your 10 worst performing posts for engagement. Which are the ones that have completely flopped? Nobody's commented, nobody's, whatever. Obviously, it will depend on the amount of followers you have as to what you consider to be bad. But this is your lowest engagement rate. So you've got a really good understanding of actually what is your audience really engaging with and what are they not engaging with. The next column along from that is to do the same across all of your competitors. I want to be clear about that. So I want you to take the 10 best performing posts from across your competition. So this will take some time, I appreciate, but I want you to go through all of those social media links that you've just popped in your spreadsheet there. And I want you to look through all of their posts, and I want you to see the ones that have performed the best, because this will be absolute gold in terms of deciding what sort of content is going to work for your brand. And of course, as you've probably guessed, the final column is their worst performing posts. So again, go through all of those competitor posts over the last year or so, and what has completely flopped, what just hasn't really taken off. And what we generally notice is that there is a bit of a theme that goes on, okay? Things like sometimes video works really well for a particular industry, and whenever a video post is put out, there's fantastic engagement. But then you start to notice that actually there's brilliant engagement on these videos, but they don't do them very often. Your competition aren't utilising that fantastic engagement. They're only doing a video once in a while. So guess what? Part of your content plan needs to be to do loads of videos, because we know that that really works. So it might be that every time when your competition puts out a user-generated post, somebody else wearing their products or using their products, it goes down really well and it starts to build that community, in which case that that's going to be a really fundamental part of your campaign. So this allows you to start to realise what tends to work for your industry and what doesn't tend to work. And it also helps you to realise where there's just space, where you have no idea whether it's going to work or not. If none of your competitors have really utilised Reels, for example, we don't know. We don't know if Reels are going to work or not. But we do know that there's a fantastic opportunity there for you to try something new within your marketplace. And that's definitely, something that's worth testing. All of this will really help you to start to decide what sort of content you're going to start rolling out. And I'd really recommend you check out my video. I'll put a little link up here to my social content pillars so that you can start to sort of plan that out in relation to a more structured kind of approach to your social media. So once you've kind of analysed that, if you go right to the bottom of the sheet, scroll down right to the bottom, there's some little blocks at the bottom there that you can note your findings. So there's, based on your findings, what type of content works best for your industry, based on your finding, where do you feel your competitors are missing out, and what else have you learned from your analysis which could be useful for your content creation. It might be there's other things that you find, feel free to add more rows if you feel there's extra information you want to include, but that's a good starting point to get you rolling. But just to kind of emphasise where this sits, all of this information that you've pulled out of here is fantastic for the kind of middle of funnel operations that you're going to be looking at doing in terms of your advertising, in terms of your social content, in terms of things like blog posts, anything middle of funnel where you're looking to stand out from your competition and persuade your customer that you are the best solution for them, is all tied into how you sit in relation to that competition. So by going through this, we can really see where the competition fails, in which case you can elevate yourself by saying, actually, we don't fail at this, we're really good. And also where your competition is really succeeding, in which case, do we want to go head on that if they've really owned that space? It might be you do want to do that, but at least you're doing it consciously. Or it might be that we think, you know what, they're really owning this space over here. There's no point in going head to head with that because they've got years on us. Instead, we're going to focus over here where we feel that they're letting themselves down. And this analysis is going to really help you to make those informed decisions. So that's it. If you haven't already downloaded the spreadsheet, please do. There's a link below. And I really hope you find this useful. I'd love to know if you've got any feedback, if there's anything you'd add to this, anything that you found particularly insightful, please do pop a comment below. I love reading your comments and I'm always very happy to help and respond if I possibly can. If you found this helpful, then I've actually just launched a short course called my e-commerce Accelerator course, where actually I go into quite a lot of detail about this, more detail than I've gone into here. And I also go into detail about the whole kind of way we structure our marketing campaigns here in the agency for our e-commerce clients. So if you think that would be helpful and you found this useful today, then take a little look at the link below. I'll pop a little link in the comments there. It's great value. I've made it as affordable as I possibly can. And I really think you'll find it helpful. So yeah, click the link below. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you found this useful, you might want to check out my video all about Facebook advertising up here somewhere. If you want to dive a little bit more into your customer personas, as I've mentioned earlier, then yeah, check out my video that I did all about that. Yeah. So here's to your success. Thanks so much for watching.